Welcome everybody to Fantasy Fluent. I'm your host as always, Anthony K, and I'm here with the producer, Mike DeFran.
How's it going?
How you doing, man?
Doing great. Got some good fantasy questions for you here today.
I am, as we start to get the information from the head coaches on who's going to be the starters at quarterback. Unfortunately, there's a couple of injuries. My draft is coming up. I haven't had my draft yet. And I've been starting to do some mock drafts. I've been seeing some interesting things happening. So I'm really diving in to kind of those, where we should be picking up guys' strategies. I've been trying different ones out. So I'm curious to see what the questions are that rolled in this week.
All right. So for my first question, this seems to be, all the talk. Adam Scheffner, Ian Rappaport, they're all talking about this 24/7. But in your draft, which rookie quarterback would you take first? It's a good one.
Okay, it is a good one, and I'll tell you, it's an interesting one because in actual football, I only think one should actually start. Although I know there's going to be more than one starting,
Right.
And so I'm not a big fan of from fantasy what Trevor Lawrence is going to do with the Jags. And Fields, we already know, isn't going to start. Mac Jones is a question mark to start. I still think the Patriots would like Cam Newton to start the season. And I know I told you he's a deep sleeper. If you're in like a super flex, a 2 QB league, or you just need an insurance for the bye week, Zach Wilson's my guy. I can't believe I'm picking I can't believe I'm saying that.
I know.
But Zach Wilson is my guy, and I'm going to roll with him. That's going to be my answer. I said it, 2 weeks ago when you said who's my deep sleeper, and that's going to be my rookie quarterback that I take. And that's based on it's based on a couple of things, because I guess that's going to be the question, right? It's based on the fact that we know he's starting week 1. We know that he's got some good offensive weapons, right? Corey Davis, Crowder, like he's got some people to throw to. We know that the Jets, they have an improved offensive line. We haven't talked about that very much either. An improved offensive line, and the Jets are going to have to throw. The Jets are going to be losing games. Let's be honest, right? They're going to have to score. They're going to have to throw the ball. So he's got opportunities. He's got weapons. Give me another rookie quarterback that's in a better scenario to do well in fantasy, and I can't. So I'm going with Zach Wilson.
I would also say Zach Wilson for the same reasons. He's starting right away. They're going to throw the ball. He's going to get a lot of garbage time stats when they're down 20 in the fourth quarter, and they're just going to throw the ball. The other thing is they don't have a running back. With Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville, they have James Robinson, who they can workhorse, and they could give him the ball 20 times a game. The Jets, who's the Jets running back? Ty Johnson? Frank Gore? Come on. So I think with Zach Wilson, yeah, they're going to lose games. Fantasy football isn't who wins games, who's the best quarterback. It's who puts up the best numbers. And I think Zach Wilson, I agree with you, was in the best position to do that so far. Speaking of rookie quarterbacks, and more specifically about Trevor Lawrence, his buddy, his homie from Clemson, Travis Etienne, unfortunately out for the year in the preseason. You hate to see it. Hope he recovers next season. But how much does that raise your draft stock on the other Jacksonville running back, James Robinson, who had a big year last year?
I'm so angry that this injury happened when it did, because in a bunch of my mocks, I was stealing James Robinson late. And I get it why everyone's high on I always say his name wrong, Etienne. But I get why they're high on him. I do understand. But as a rookie, I just thought there's no way James Robinson can play the way he played last year, and he's not going to get opportunities, right? I think it was fool's gold for those that were drafting Etienne early. And so the downside is, Robinson moved up from, late rounds to now he's like a fourth rounder.
In my draft, he went in the fourth round, and Etienne went like in the second or third round. So it's just absolute craziness. Yeah.
It's funny. I was having a conversation with Adam Rank, and there was someone else had asked him a question, and it was relevant to me because in my main, so I play in a few different leagues, but in my main one where I'm the commissioner, I'm sadly the 11th pick out of 12 team PPR league. I'm the 12th pick. I'm the 11th pick. Excuse me. And someone said the question to Adam was, "Hey, I'm the 11th pick. What should I do?" And he said, "Well, you should go running back, running back, running back." And he's like, he goes, "I know it sounds crazy, but you can get like a Jonathan Taylor. You can get, guys like that. And then in that late third round, maybe, it's a little reach, but maybe there's a guy like James Robinson there. So if you could get a Jonathan Taylor in the first round, and I don't know who's going to be, it depends, like a Najee Harris. There's are going to be guys in the second round, right? Because you're picking 11th and 14th. You're going to have a slew of running backs, and then go crazy with Jonathan. You might be James Robinson, excuse me, in the third. You might be set up at running back like really nicely, and because I'm of the belief that I can get a quarterback late. There's so many productive quarterbacks. So I'm gonna wait on quarterbacks. So I'm gonna go, like I said, I think I might take this strategy and go running back, because I'm 11th, and then load up on wide receivers and worry about everything else after that.
Yeah,
because there's still good. There's still good value in quarterback, in tight ends. Later on.
And if you draft 3 running backs, you could start all of them. 2 running backs and a flex.
Yeah.
I mean, that's absolutely something you could do. And if you have a premier running back, and then a guy like James Robinson, and then another good running back, I mean, you're set. Those are 3 really good fantasy positions for you to have. You mentioned Najee Harris. I just wanted to say my favorite pick of my fantasy draft was I picked Najee 18th overall, and I was very proud of that. So glad to see that, we're kind of great minds think alike. You know what I mean? Lastly, this is typically one of the most lowly drafted picks. But what defenses are you rocking with, and what round do you think is the best value to draft defenses in?
Well, some people aren't going to like this one if they value defenses, because I will say, what defense am I taking? Whatever's left, because I'm taking them in the last round.
Okay.
I just there isn't as big of a drop off. Like unless you reach for those early defenses, like some guys do. I think I've seen defenses go as early as the 6th, 7th, 8th round.
Oh man!
And every time I see it, I just think, guys, like if you work out, the top defense versus the 12th defense, because let's be honest, that's the worst you should get. Like if anyone in your league is drafting 2 defenses, you need to be really concerned about the league you're in. So if you look at the drop off from the number 1 defense to maybe you can pull this up while I'm talking. If you look at the drop off from last season, who was the number 1 defense? Who was the number 12 defense? Yeah. And look at what that means in terms of points per game, what the drop off is. I bet you it is going to be pretty small. I bet you that it's not worth it when you consider you could have got, like, for those that take them in the 6th, let's be more realistic. Someone who's taken in the 10th round, let's say, the 8th round, if they're taking a defense, think about who you could have gotten at wide receiver, at running back. Heck, your quarterback could have been in the 8th, 9th, 10th round, who's going to give you way more points. Did you happen to pull it up there?
Yeah, I did. So the number 1 defense per fantasy last year, which was what I expected, was the Rams. They scored 151 points throughout the season.
Okay.
And at 12, which is what you said, it was a tie between the New York Giants and my Seattle Seahawks at 103. So there's a 48-point
So 48-point difference. And typically they play, 14 weeks? I think.
Yeah.
No, for fantasy, yeah.
Yeah. So that's like less than, it's like
3 point. I'm doing math here. 3.4 points. 3.42 points. Come on. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? It makes absolutely no sense. And people, look, I get it. And listen, and here's the reason why. Because I have been tempted to go, hey, I get my running backs, my wide receivers, my quarterback, my tight end, and then I fill out my starters, right? It's like I'm picking a real team. I'm like, let me get my defense and my kicker, and then I'll worry about my bench. And there's people who feel that way, and they're like, okay, the last 6 rounds is going to fill out my bench. But the reality is, you have to look at the bigger picture, which is, where am I going to get points? What am I going to do during bye weeks? What am I going to do when someone gets injured? And if you're taking a defense, like I said, in the 10th round or the 8th round, whatever it is, like I said, where they've been going, it's not, look, you could have got the Rams and you would have got 3 extra points a week. When I look at a 10th round wide receiver is probably going to get me a lot more. A 10th round running back, heck, I'll take a quarterback in the 10th round, or like my actual starting quarterback I can get in the 10th round. Again, we're talking single QB leagues, and a super flex and 2 QB is going to be different because I play in some of those. So obviously the strategy is completely different. So yeah, like I said, it might not be the most in-depth analysis on what defense I'm taking, but it's because it's what's left, and I'm just going to take who I think based on right whether it's projected, what they did last year, all the stuff that you put into any other player.
Yeah.
If you're asking who's the top-rated defense, yeah, you're probably still going to go. It's probably going to be the Rams again. I think New England's going to be a good in all of my drafts. I've been able to take New England with the last pick in the last round. And I think that defense is going to play well enough this season that I'm not going to be too concerned. Oh, sorry, that was one other thing I wanted to mention was, the other reason is you figure if you pick the Rams or that type of defense, the idea is, well, then I can just set it and forget it, right? Because everyone hates, I got to stream defense, I got to matchups, I got to look. Yeah, I get it. But listen, if you want to win your fantasy league, it is not a set it and forget it. You need to check matchups. You need to check the waiver wire. You need to do this stuff week in and week out. So is it too much to ask, say, hey, you're going to, rotate your defenses in every week? No, I think that's the least you could do. If you want to win, right? Like I'm competitive. When I finish in second, which is why I have the 11th pick, right? I hate everything that I hate the rest of the offseason. I'm thinking about, I didn't win. Yeah. I didn't win. Yeah. And it drives me nuts. And I go back. I'm that guy that goes back to the draft. I'm like, oh man, I should have done this. If I would have only picked this guy there. That's me. That's what I do. I obsess over it, which is why we do this show, because this gives me an outlet to say this. But so it's just, I'll tell you, my last 4 picks. I'll tell you right now, my last 4 picks. So anyone who's drafting with me this year, my strategy. My last 4 picks are going to be tight end, kicker, defense, or maybe defense kicker. That I haven't figured that one out yet. But those are my last 4 picks.
Interesting. Another interesting little nugget I found, and you touched on this, so I wanted to kind of elaborate.
Let me pause you there actually before you say that last question. Sure. The tight end thing. If someone slips, right? If if Kelsey slips he won't. The 3rd round, maybe I'm questioning myself, right? If George Kittle slips a couple of rounds, okay, I might question myself. If there's guys like that I'm like, ooh, that's a really good value. Everyone took my advice. Yeah, then, maybe. But based on how I've been seeing all the mocks happening, everything that I've done, again, the people are reaching. They're taking these guys too early. So I'll just let them take them, and I'll take what's left at the end.
Yeah, I agree with that for the most part. Waller falls, Kittle falls, Kelsey falls. You take those guys, you swoop them up. You mentioned, talking about matchups and everything. Something I think is a very good strategy, especially with defense, is let's say you have, the Seahawks defense, number 12 defense, right? And they're playing a really good offense. They're playing like the Chiefs, for example. Well, then you look and the Bears defense is on the waiver wire, and the Bears are playing the Lions this week. Pick up the Bears defense for this week, drop them. It's defense is so interchangeable. There's probably 12 teams in your league, and there is 20 defenses that are there's 25 defenses in the NFL that are capable of having a good week against a bad opponent. So
yeah, listen, if you this obviously isn't the case anymore, but if you look, I'm going to go back a few years. I remember when Cleveland was going through their garbage years, I just played that matchup, right? A couple of years ago, it was the Jets, right? Just whoever was playing the Jets, whoever was playing these guys that we knew were going to lose, they weren't going to get a lot of points, they were going to have a lot of turnovers. You pick it. It's no disrespect to the team. It's just you got to do what you got to do. I do want to go back one other thing with the tight ends, because I do want to mention a player, because we talked about tight ends, and I mentioned leaving them to the end. I will say, for those that are looking for like a sleeper that you can get late, look for a big year from Logan Thomas. I think Logan Thomas is going to be this year's Darren Waller.
Wow.
I think really highly of Logan this year, and he's a guy that you can steal. Like again, really, really. So those are the guys you got to look for, right? Look for guys that had a lot of opportunities. They're going to get a lot of balls thrown their way, who maybe just fly under the radar a little bit, right? If you look at what he did last year, and now you're bringing in, he's going to have more opportunities. I think he's going to have a big year.
All right. Small follow-up question because you've got me
Yeah.
intrigued by these tight ends. So I think obviously the biggest name in the rookie tight end market is Kyle Pitts. However, tight ends in the rookie season historically are not great. But I mean, he's got Matt Ryan. They're going to throw the ball a bunch. They're going to be similar situation to the Jets. They're going to be probably down a lot in games, just having to throw the ball. What's your thoughts on Kyle Pitts?
Kyle Pitts is a very large wide receiver. So with Julio Jones moving, right? Calvin Ridley can't take all the receptions. Mm-hmm. So I think he's going to play a big role in that offense. So I think, again, depending on where you have to take him, because again, I've seen people reaching for Kyle Pitts early because they know that he's just a really big wide receiver. He's going to have a good fantasy year, but he's not worth, I don't know if you have his ADP up there, but I don't think he's worth, a 5th round pick if that's where he's going. Like if you can get him later rounds, sure, but don't reach for Kyle. Don't reach for Pitts. I don't know what you have him in there as, but
no, doesn't say anything just yet. Hold on. His average draft position is about the 4th round right now.
Yeah, see that's too high. That's too high for a tight end. He's not going to be that. He's not. If you take, if you look at who you're going to get at wide receiver in the 4th round, and then you look at Kyle Pitts, he's not going to outperform them. He's just not. Again, because I still think it's going to be Calvin Ridley showed us who he is. So Calvin Ridley's going to be the guy that leads that offense. Yeah. And you also have, just sort of another thing, a lot of what normally would be tight end receptions, they also have Mike Davis, right? Atlanta picked up Mike Davis out of the backfield, so he's going to get a lot of those dump offs that typically might have gone to the tight end. He's going to get those, so he's going to get some of those reception too. He showed us last year in Carolina that he is a very capable of receiving out of the backfield. So that's why I wouldn't. Right. Again, if he slips he's one of those guys, right? If he's going on average in the 4th round, if he slips in your, maybe people in your draft don't know, and he slips 6, 7, yeah, maybe okay. Not what I'm going to do. I won't. But if you're really desperate for a tight end, or listen, I know guys who have had to. I was going to say, rotate their tight ends every week, and they hate it. They hate it, and they're like, I'm picking a tight end this year. That's it. It's fine. Okay, if that's what you need to do, that you can put a guy in there, then he might be your guy. I think he's going to be consistent. He also might be T.J. Hawkinson, right? Yeah. He's going to come out and have 2 big weeks and then disappear. That's do you trust the Atlanta? Do you trust the Atlanta offense? I don't know.
Big mystery over there. So that's all the questions I got for you today for this week, and. We answered a lot of questions. We answered tight ends, talked about James Robinson, Travis Etienne, rookie quarterbacks, all the big defenses and how little they are valued. Please don't draft a defense.
Don't draft a defense.
Don't do it. That's
unless you're in my league. Unless you're in my league, in which case take a defense first, take a kicker in the 2nd round,
right.
Take a couple of tight ends in the 3rd and 4th round, and I think that'll help me quite a bit.
Don't forget Mac Jones. Very important. Should be on your big board.
I'm thinking actually you might want to, if you need a quarterback, Drew Lock is the guy to go with. Only if you're in my league. If you're in another league, do not. Congratulations, by the way, to Teddy Bridgewater winning the starting job there in Denver. I think that's actually shocked me, but his injury was horrific. I think he's gone and done everything anyone has asked him to do in New Orleans, then in Carolina. So I hope this is his shot. Yep. Denver's got a good team. They got a great defense. And if they can get solid play out of Teddy Bridgewater, they're going to be in the conversation. So all the best to Teddy Bridgewater. That brings us to the end of Fantasy Fluent. Be sure to like, follow, set the reminder so you know when a new episode comes out. We're going to do one every single week. Send your questions to anthonyk@sportsfluent.com or here in the comments. Until next week, be fluent.
Hey.